And welcome to the US of A, guys. This week we got a very special episode for you. So we've landed in Vegas and we're heading to a little town in Arizona called Kingman. Now I know we're called Adventure Trails, but this week we're going to be looking at the adventure element of what we do rather than the trails element. So if you're expecting any mountain bikes today, I do apologise. So let's get to Kingman, where we're going to surprise the hell out of someone very special to us.
Let's go surprise mother.
No heart attacks.
So Beck's mom actually doesn't know we're turning up today, so I hope she doesn't have a heart attack and drop to the floor. So our plan for the next couple of weeks is to take in as many sites as we can and spend as much time as family. What are the differences between the way Americans live and guys in the UK live? That's what we're looking at.
Oh my god.
So now that's over with, let's grab some road food, hit the road and get to some sightseeing. One of the first differences you're going to notice about America are these huge open plains you can literally see for miles. And you don't get many cactuses in the UK. It is breathtakingly beautiful. But where are we going today? We're off to the Grand Canyon, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. You have to see this in your lifetime. The Grand Canyon is a strange mixture of land owned by native people and the federal government. Both are going to screw you out of money. Where were we when they got shouted? Eagle Point. Eagle Point, was it, over there? And the security guard shouted at someone because they crossed the barrier.
But there's no barrier.
There's no barrier here.
Scary.
So if you do ever come to the Grand Canyon, you're going to have an amazing time. But the people in charge do really power trip about being in charge. So just make sure you follow the laws and don't step over any markers that you're not meant to step over. When you get to America, don't forget you're going to be suffering from jet lag. So we were up at 4:30 every single morning for the first 4 days, which was awesome because we got to sit outside on the curb and watch these incredible sunrises. The divide of wealth in America is pretty much the same as the UK. So we've got our lower class, we've got our middle class, and we've got our upper class. So with people that are not on an amazing income, you're not going to have a very good lifestyle in America. Half of the places that we were seeing were trailers converted into housing. Imagine living in a country like Arizona where you had no air conditioning. These are the kind of situations you're going to be in. Now the middle class here, they're quite comfortable. You know, they're cruising along on that middle line, not worrying about utilities or anything like that. The streets are a lot cleaner. Everybody's got a truck. Now, the upper class, they're living in a different kind of world. This house that we're coming up to here, this guy must have been DC crazy. He's got a huge emblem of Superman in his drive. And around the fountain that you can't really make out, he had the different characters like the Flash. One of the things for me that was quite overwhelming was the array of foods and different types of foods. And even 50 types of the same food. The aisles are massive in any kind of supermarket you go to in America. And I have to say, I was expecting the food to be a little bit cheaper. And it really wasn't. But there is only 8% income tax here rather than 20%. And where else do you find guns in a supermarket? Only in the US of A. Now I'm one of those people that gets quite intimidated when I see our armed police at airports. Now Arizona has an open carry policy, so you're going to see people walking around with holstered guns on the belts. Very intimidating. So as we are in Arizona, and it is part of the Wild Wild West, where else to go than a little town called Oatman. Oatman is in the middle of nowhere, probably about 40 miles away from where we are in Kingman and nothing in the other direction, surrounded by beautiful scenery and wild donkeys that they call burros. And I really do think the makers of the Pixar animation films Cars actually came to this place and visited the likes of Kingman, Oatman, and that's where Radiator Falls came from. On the way to Oatman, there are always the little scenery spots you can stop off at. This is an old mine, probably over 100 years old, which is all boarded off now, you can't go into it. But huge snakes and spiders around every corner, so be careful. And also, this area is particularly popular for mining. Silver and gold are the main exports from these areas. So Oatman has a very unusual history. So it's named after a young lady called Olive Oatman that was actually kidnapped in 1851 by natives and then sold on after to the Mojave people, who adopted her and actually tattooed her face. She was then found by prospectors a bit later on and they named the town after her. In the early 20th century, Oatman was actually a boomtown for gold, but in the 1920s the main mine closed down. So the town was only surviving through Route 66 that actually went through bringing tourism. But when they decided to bypass Route 66, it all went to shit and the town became a ghost town until the 1980s when it started becoming a tourist hub. And for me, it's definitely one of those things, if you're coming to Arizona, you have to see. It's got an eclectic mix of souvenir shops, artists showing the work off, a huge array of antique shops, which were awesome. Not to mention its very own tortoise sanctuary, which backs on to the old jail, the original jail of Oatman. And I have to say, you would not want to be in that sweatbox in these kind of temperatures. But if you are after something a little bit more lively, with a little bit more action, Oatman actually put on its very own Wild West show. And I have to say, it was quite funny and quite entertaining. So I think all in all, if you are after that eclectic mix of American nostalgia, Arizona's the place to come.
So go on, be carefree like a little baby. But first, give Zoltar a little money and I will give you a fortune.
So stay tuned to another week where we'll be showing you some more adventures from America.